Okay, well, good morning. Good to see you guys, and I'm excited to be back. I'm excited to be back because it means basketball season's here. We get to talk about basketball. We get to talk about, the excitement that is certainly building around the season that's coming up for us. It starts on Friday. A couple things to hit on to start. Number one is the depth of the program from our eighth grade through our varsity. We've never had more players out. We've kept what we believe to be a really quality amount of players. We had to cut and select some guys that made really difficult decisions for us, but we feel good about this year, and then we also feel good going forward that we've got some depth in our program. We've got more talent at our freshman, sophomore levels that we're hoping are going to make impacts. Part of the reason we kept some guys down were because of the impact of having 8 seniors. So the 8 senior players that we have worked their way up through the ranks and are, I'd call them optimistic about making a pretty substantial impact on this year's group. Really good group of guys that have had a variety of experiences. Some of the guys who are our seniors have worked their way up from freshman to sophomore to JV to varsity, and then we've got some who've played as a freshman, some who played as a sophomore. So we're really excited about the group that we've got. Schedule-wise, it feels like we're never going to get here. We're on 25 practices once we get to today. We'll have practice 26, and then all of a sudden we're going. And it's time to get going Friday night with Rockhurst. And they played last night versus Lee Summit North, so I've been up for a while last night watching film on them. They're really good. They're really, really good. So nothing like easing our way in versus a top 10 team ranked in the city, and deservedly so. And then we'd go Saturday to Columbia Hickman, or to Columbia College, play Columbia Hickman in the Norm Stewart Classic, and then we'd come back for our tournament, which is always really exciting. So, coming off the season that we did last year, finishing 14-13, losing in the district championship, 7 consecutive times playing in it, but unfortunately breaks the streak of winning it 5 straight times. This group doesn't have the responsibility of starting a new streak. They have a responsibility of trying to win one, and it'll be this year's that we'll focus on. But I'm excited. I'm really, really excited to get going. I'm excited for this group, and look forward to some really good memories that'll take place this year. So with that, turn it over to you guys for questions or anything.
With a 14-3 record last year, how does this year's team compare to last year's team?
Um, so, right, like when you have each team, I think there's differences with them. I think that this group's talented for certain. I thought last year's group was talented too, but what we ran into last year was we might have played some of our best basketball early in the year. So we played really well. The first 4 games were 4-0 coming into our tournament championship here, and then had a hard time getting back on track. And then we did in February. We went over to Liberty on a Friday night, played well and won. Previously unbeaten Raytown had come in on a Tuesday night. We beat them, and then we got Truman pretty good on a Friday. So we played a 3-game stretch in February. That was pretty good, but that's 7 of 27 games. So obviously you look at the numbers, it's about a 4th-year season where you play well. We've got to be more consistent. So when you're asking for a comparison, the comparison is that while talent exists, we need to have and exhibit a level of consistency about how we perform, so that we don't have so many highs and lows, and we've got more of a steady season with this group.
What improvements have you seen with your returning varsity players?
Um, well, number one that I've seen is a physical development, just work ethic wise, weight room wise, ability to get in the gym on their own, get shots, work. There's a saying, players are made in the off season, teams are made in the season, and with this group, they have worked really hard in the off season individually as players to put themselves in position so our team can be successful. But part of a team being successful isn't just the ability to pass, catch, shoot, dribble, defend, right? There's a lot more that goes into it. Physical development of the body, maturity about the way that you go about your business, how you treat your teammates. And with this group, I've seen them take that responsibility and be more excited about it and not feel like it's a burden. So I'm optimistic that the group of guys that we have will continue to have the enthusiasm to lead and to work that way.
Being a senior-heavy team, how does this affect the team's leadership?
Yeah, so kind of hand in hand a little bit there. I think that, right, like so you guys are high school students, so there's a level of maturity of a high school student that, right, as you're a freshman, you come in here as you're a sophomore, and then by the time you're a senior, right, like you've changed since you were as a freshman. So I hope that what the group will bring from a leadership standpoint is just a collective commitment and responsibility to play well and to take care of each other and perform. And they've been through it. I've known these guys for 4 years with us, but then many years before when they came. And so I'm hopeful that the group will continue that commitment together.
Who are some of the standout players that we can look forward to watch?
Well, I'm looking forward to finding that out Friday. I've got an idea about some guys. The plan right now would be to start 5 seniors. So when you bring 5 seniors and put 5 seniors together, you hope that there's going to be a level of performance that is more steady. I alluded to the fact of consistency earlier, but with starting 5 seniors, I think that there's part of that you hope can translate to on-floor success. As far as individual standouts, I mean, I've got my idea of guys, but I don't know. Time is going to tell. Time will tell on
that. What's the team's mindset going into the tournament?
Right, so like, we haven't thought much about the tournament because what I'm asking of them is that they're good today at practice. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. I want them to also focus on Friday before next week happens. So I think if I had to use a word, it would be excited, right? I mean, they're excited for what's upcoming. But I also don't want them to get too far ahead of themselves, right, and start thinking about things that are far away and are yet to happen. So we're going to spend more time focusing on hopefully being pretty good today at practice, be a little bit better tomorrow, and then kind of see how things shake out on Friday against a really good team.
The basketball team is known for the family mentality, so how do you think that affects how they play on the court?
Yeah, good question. So, like, everybody has their own family dynamic. So I don't know if there is a specific trait or answer to how that works, but if you're a family, you have like a relationship and a bond with each other that is more committed than maybe others. And so how does it translate to our on-the-floor product? Well, I feel like there's a responsibility that goes into how you take care of each other and how you play and what your level of accountability is and the depth of your relationships and those things. So I'm hopeful that we'll see throughout the year how that develops, but also in the same regard, everybody's family kind of changes and things and variables happen. So I'm hopeful at our core what we'll do is we'll be committed to each other, play hard for each other, care about each other, and then let some of those other variables just play out.
The senior heavy group, there's a lot of personalities and it's a lot of, funny. It just seems like fun basketball, and they're coming to play basketball, and it's not as serious, but it's also playing with the love of the game. And do you think that has a big impact, or do you think that's just one of the things that goes into it, and how will it affect on the court as well?
So it's a really good question, really good observation. Each team has its own personality here. So like you asked earlier about how's this team different than last year's group. In some regards, I don't know it, but each team takes on its own personality. But at the same time, you got to take on a personality, a little bit of a system and of a coach and of a belief system about how you play and how you work. So, like we believe to do things a certain way. But what you're asking specific about this group is like, how do their personalities translate to our on-the-floor product? And what I've seen us in practice is I've seen a level of enthusiasm at practice and a just genuine joy of being there and playing that hopefully translates so that people can see that on the floor. They can see that these guys have fun. They can see that these guys care, but they can also see that they work really hard, that they're committed. So that's going to be something that'll be fun to see over time too, because I know that their excitement for the season is in part kind of the observation too about being loose, being fun. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out over time. So we'll finish and wrap up, and then I guess when we're doing this next week, we'll be a couple games in, Ruckhurst and Hickman. And then we'll be able to preview the tournament a little bit better, and you can ask me then how I feel about it. Listen, I'll just say this. I appreciate there's some genuine interest. There's some genuine excitement around our program with our players. They're really, really excited. But furthermore, what we appreciate is we appreciate the fact that there's excitement and enthusiasm from other people about it too. The student body, the parents, the teacher. There's a collective group that's excited for the season to get going, and nobody's more excited than I am for it. So as we go throughout the year, I appreciate all the work that you guys are going to do to help kind of promote our product and get us out there. I appreciate the support that you are going to give here and that people from afar are going to give for us, because what we're hoping is that we can make some pretty special memories for a group of guys and for a student body and some fans that'll make it so the basketball season in 2017, 2018 is pretty enjoyable. So that wrap it up and see you guys next week. Okay.